to Dynasty Football Live. Today, it's time, baby. We had our draft, our Dynasty Football draft. It's draft time, guys. It's time to roll. It's time to get your roster set, and it's time for fantasy football. I am so excited to bring you Fantasy Lands, which is our Dynasty Football League draft grades. We're going to let you guys have a deep look at how our draft went. We had a blast. Some of us had a blast. Some of us didn't. Some of us really got mad during the draft. You might see some snippets coming out on some shorts. But guys, we're gonna show you how we did. I mean, we're excited about it. I think most of us had a great draft. It was very fun. We got a 12 team, single QB, half point PPR league. It's fun, man. So we really had a good time. And I'm gonna let Manny get into it with the guy who had the first overall pick. He is in a rebuild. We will let you know that. But he had a pretty solid draft. So, Manny, without further ado, let's take it away here with PreHEAT at the top. He had the 1-1 in our draft. Look at his team.
All right. Yeah. I think for me, he had an A draft. Maybe, yeah, I'll give him an A. I think based on what he has in his team right now, just as a quick kind of recap, if you didn't watch our other video, go ahead and watch it. But we talk a little bit about every single team. But, PreHEAT, as far as notable players that he has Herbert, and he has Garrett Wilson, and he has the Titans tight end, Chig. I can't pronounce the rest of the name, but, those are kind of his kind of building blocks right now before the draft. Everyone else, has a chance for something to happen, but they haven't really quite established themselves. So based on that and the picks he had, I think he did amazing to kind of replenish his roster after a complete rebuild. He got rid of everyone except for those players I mentioned. He got Bijan at 1.1. He also had the third pick overall. He had JSN. Kendra Miller at the 2.3, which I thought was kind of interesting. I thought based on the suspension, he may kind of rise a little bit in the draft, but he did not in ours at least. He went in the beginning of the second round. Michael Wilson at a Stanford, who's playing for Arizona Cardinals now. Based on their roster, most of the receivers there are on the small side. He's a legit X receiver. Size and speed. The only thing holding him back really is injuries. I was kind of hoping personally, he got him at 4.3. I was hoping personally he would drop to my pick at the 412, but he didn't. So then he got Deneric Prince, Kansas City Chiefs running back, who's kind of made a name for himself a little bit here in OTAs, rookie minicamps, or OTAs and minicamps and stuff. So kind of see what happens there. I know obviously we have Pacheco as the guy I think who's going to be the lead guy there, but Edwards-Helaire is kind of missing in action here. So anyways, Prince could be a late round flyer there. He also had Justin Shorter with his last pick in the 5th round, the 5.3 or 5.7 rather. And we only have 6 pick limit based on our roster and their keepers and everything. So, normally it's 6 rounds, but his last pick, which was the 6th pick, was 5.7. I think overall he kind of hit everything, especially starting with Bijan and JSN. And we can include Kendra Miller, even though there's more questions with him based on the roster. To me, he hit it out of the park based on his needs, and I really liked it. For me, it's an A.
Yeah, I did like it. What I didn't like about what he did is this guy actually originally had the 1 and the 2. I felt like for me, I would have rather had the combo in Bijan and Gibbs. This was a trade that he made with you actually before the season, but it worked out in your benefit. If I were him, I would have wanted the combo in Robinson and Gibbs. That's just my personal opinion, but from what he got, let's just say, hey, we're stacking wide receivers against running backs. He did the right thing, I guess, right here with getting JSN he's going to get a little bit, well, for sure, should get a lot longer return on his investment with that high of a pick in JSN. So not too bad, but running backs are hard to get if you ain't got the top 3 picks. So especially one like Jahmyr Gibbs, which we'll get into later. Which I'm not gonna spoil anything, but someone got him. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead just for the combo, of Robinson and JSN alone. He has to have an A grade. I mean, that's just for me. How do you not give a guy an A grade? A little bit of a question mark to me on the generic Prince uh, pick there. On I understand he's a Kansas City Chiefs running back, and no one knows where CEH is going to be, but I definitely don't think he is hopscotching Pacheco or McKinnon unless an injury happens. Did like Michael Wilson pick though. That was a very, very good pick. I do see that guy getting a lot of targets this year. So for me, his grade here is an A. I liked it, PreHEAT. Good job, man. Way to start the rebuild off hot. So you want to go to the next team or?
Yeah, of course. And I agree with you. I think he was in a weird situation, because I know when I did my rebuild, I had the 1.1 at one point, and I traded back out of it, got multiple first rounders, and built with heavy wide receiver. And that was the approach I took. But I think for him having a generational player. I didn't have a guy like him in my draft when I was doing it. If I had Bijan, I would have definitely struggled with making it, trading back out of that pick. Yeah. But I agree. I agree with you. Well, next is Jack Attack, which is my team. I had the 1.2, 1.9, 3.2, 3.5, 412, and 5.5. And obviously at 2, you saw PreHEAT had Bijan and JSN. I was in the middle of that. I got Jahmyr Gibbs. I'm very excited about it. That for a second, there was thought of getting JSN. Actually, not a second. It was basically the last month before the draft. I was kind of going back and forth just because I had lost some of my younger receivers. Even though I do have a good receiving core, I lost some of them to get this pick. And JSN, obviously going to give me a longer hope. In my mind, he would give me a longer return on my investment. But I do need to solidify a running back position with Breece Hall being hurt. So it was the right pick for me at the 1.2. At the 1.9, actually try to make a trade back up based on how things fell, back up to the 8th pick overall. Not sacrificing the 1.9, but getting the 8 in addition to the 9. And my goal was to get at that point Quentin Johnston and Laporta. And I thought that would have kind of made me just like the best draft ever. But couldn't make it happen. Anyways, the way the draft fell for us, Anthony Richardson was available at this spot. I have Lawrence, Watson, and Howell. I didn't really need Richardson, but based on who got picked in front of him, or in front of me rather, I felt like I needed to go best available. I didn't want to reach for a position of need if I didn't feel like that was the right guy, right value with this pick. So even though I don't really need him being at the 9, even though we do have only one quarterback league, I don't really need multiple quarterbacks, but I think my approach was best available, and that's what I decided to stick with. And I got some crazy reactions. Some people were really shocked that I went that route, but based on who was there at the time, I just felt like that was the best option. I was a little upset based on how things went before the previous pick, right before mine. I thought I was going to get who I really wanted, but it didn't work out. But I'm happy with Richardson thinking back on it. At the 3.2, I got a little sniped, some friendly fire, just kidding. But I did want it, Reed, Jalen Reed, and Hyatt were available right before my pick. I thought I was going to get either one of them, and they were taken right before I picked. So that was kind of rough. But I am happy with Tedder Tillman. I think he's so far he's done a lot. I know that's a crowded receiver room, but he may come out, um, behind Cooper. Maybe we'll see. I was able to get Zach Evans at the 3.5. A.T. Perry, who I really, really like, even though he's a 6th-rounder in real life. I really like him, even though because there isn't a lot in front of him other than Olave and Michael Thomas and Shaheed in a way. Maybe Shaheed, but Shaheed's more of a slob. Michael Thomas is a question mark. We'll see what happens there. And at 5.5, I was hoping to get the Dallas defense. It got sniped right before my pick, so I decided to go with Charlie Jones. And I got to figure out who I'm going to drop since I don't have a defense. But for me, I'm going to give it a B plus. Even though I got a great value on Anthony Richardson, I feel like based on my team needs, I maybe could have gotten a receiver potentially, or maybe a running back. There's some running backs that were still there at that point. Charbonnet was still there, I believe. So, but I mean, I'm happy with what I did, but I think B plus for me.
Hey, man, I think you did great. I think you got a lot of value in your picks and kind of where they landed. There was some tough ones that you took on the chin in this draft, and you still came out, in my opinion, with, like you said, I would give you just on the value that you got with Anthony Richardson at 9. I gotta give you an A, bro. Like I just have to. Like it's not because we're friends and we're on this channel and I'm pumping you up. You really did a really good job. I think also that even though you didn't get Jalen Hyatt or Reed, I honestly think, in my opinion, that Cedric Tillman, who you took with the 3-2, could end up being better than both of those guys. He could. He could. I'm not saying he is or he is right now, but the dude's got a lot of potential. He's got a bigger frame than both of those wide receivers. You know, Amari Cooper isn't going to last forever, so I think his path to targets is going to be a quick one. I really do. I think that. I also really, really, really like the A.T. Perry pick. I think you're dead on with, him having another good shot there in New Orleans. There's Michael Thomas. He could hurt that ankle again. A.T. Perry could be right there next to Olave. It could happen. Back to your, original pick with the 9, what we're talking about, Anthony Richardson. Guys, don't be scared to take best available, because especially if it's a quarterback, because that quarterback, let's just say someone in our league has a top-notch quarterback and they don't really have a solid backup. Well, you've got 4 quarterbacks sitting there on your roster that they're going to see. Someone is going to come calling. And you, at that point, can pretty much name your price for a high-profile guy like Anthony Richardson and just cash out. And, hey, it's like buying a stock. You buy it small, doesn't look like much, and then later on, I cashed out for so-and-so, that's part of the game, baby. So don't be scared to take best available, even though it's not a position of need, and I'm proud of you for doing that. You did take a little bit of heat in the draft for doing that, but hey, I think it's solely because people know how good Anthony Richardson is. They know how good he can be, and they really wanted him to fall. So for me, you get an A. Good job, Manny.
I appreciate that, man. It was quite a emotional roller coaster for me.
Awesome.
It was pretty crazy, but yeah. So next we have Brute Squad, who's one of the new members in our league, and I don't think he's going to keep that name, but that's the name we have right now for him. He had the 1.4, the 2.1, 2.4, 2.5, 3.4, and 312. And that was the end of his draft, just because he was obviously that's 6 picks, and that's the cap we have here. So for him, I was kind of surprised at the 4. We kind of all expected, at least Byron and I were talking about projections. We were thinking Quentin Johnson or Richardson, and he went Addison at the 4, which I think everyone was kind of surprised, at the same time very happy because of the potential fall of other players. Um, he got Roshan Johnson at 2.1, which I really, really like. One pick that I was very, very, very surprised, especially with some of the stuff you've been hearing about Jalen Hyatt, this guy being a Giants fan.
Mhm.
Before the draft, they were talking about, Jalen Hyatt ran 24 miles an hour, beating record, allegedly, whatever that means.
Yeah.
And obviously, being a Giants fan, I thought that if he was going to get a Giants receiver, he was going to get Jalen Hyatt, and he did not. He passed on him and had Wan'Dale Robinson. And for me, that was questionable just because of the injury last year,
Mm.
and Jalen Hyatt kind of stock is rising right before the draft.
Man.
So what?
Hey, all I'm gonna say is this: one man's trash is another man's treasure. So someone got very lucky and cashed out on this pass. So, but yeah, like you said, man, that was the really. I think the guy had a pretty good draft. I
Yeah,
did question that one as well. So
yeah.
keep going with what you got here. I'm
Yeah,
loving it.
he got Michael Mayer right after Wan'Dale Robinson, which I thought was a good pick. I think
Tremendous
people
value.
do what?
Tremendous value there. He got
Yeah,
tremendous
tremendous
value.
value, and I think people are kind of less excited, even though he was the consensus number one for a long, long time, and then he got passed by Kincaid, and then passed by, in my eyes, by Laporta, and obviously other guys got drafted ahead of him in the tight end position. I thought he's not an exciting pick, but I think he's a great value, and I think he's going to be a really consistent guy down the line for sure. Tank Dell at 3.4, which I thought about it at 3.2, and I didn't. I ended up going with Cedric Tillman just because, the size in Tennessee. It was kind of like, man, I had to do it anyways. Tank Dell
There's
at
a
three
hat in the
four.
background. That's exactly why you went for.
I love Tank Dell though. I think at 3.4, great value. I really thought personally Tank Dell and Hyatt were going to go in the second round based on their draft stock or the draft capital that was invested on both teams in real life, and their abilities. So that was kind of surprising. They fell to the fourth or the third rather, and then on the third 12, that was his last pick. And I think it was a little bit early for me, but at the same time, being his last pick and not being able to get possibly this guy, I think it was a great pick. Yeah, Keyshawn Butte at 3.12. And for me, that was a great pick just because that was his last pick of the draft, and someone else going to pick him up. So great pick for me. So for me, I'm gonna give him a B plus.
I agree. I think he did well, man. I think he filled his roster out nice. And if you look at the guy's roster right now, man, he's got some dangerous wide receivers, bro. Like some serious wide receivers that getting tanked down. I mean, he's a little receiver heavy. He did get Roshan Johnson, which, I'm looking at the roster and he does have some younger backs in Hubbard and Isaiah Spiller to pair with Jamal Williams this year.
Mhm.
But I think he's set up. I think next year he can attack the running backs in the draft. I'm gonna actually give him a B just because of the Wan'Dale Robinson pick. I highly questioned that one, and man, it was rough. It was when he did that. I mean, it was for me. I was like, oh, like I'm not
Yeah.
saying Wan'Dale Robinson isn't gonna get on the field, but when other wide receivers were on the board and you're a Giants fan, that kind of made me question why you would pass on what could be possibly the best wide receiver in this whole draft in Jalen Hyatt. Okay, like possibly. I'm not saying he is, but I don't know if you guys have seen the highlight tapes. This dude is consistently burning and torching people in
Mhm.
practice. I mean, it's a highlight reel. It's amazing. So, hit the draft grade here for me was a B, and the best value he got out of all his picks for me was the Michael Mayer pick. So I really liked that one. I thought he hit it out of the park and got a stud tight end there. With his third. Anyways, where are we going next, Manny?
Well, next it's gonna be your team, man. I
Oh
really,
man.
really, really like what you did. We talked about people getting sniped. I was one of those people. I don't hold a grudge though, dude. I think I'm really, really happy with what you did, and I'm really, really proud. I think the main thing, and we kind of talked about this after the draft, or maybe like the day after, is I think, in my opinion, you need to be patient with the guys you do have, and uh, you know, don't get too excited about trading. I know season's about to start, but I think what you have here in this draft was top notch, and very excited about what you have here. So, anyways, let's start here with the 1.5. You got C.J. Stroud, and I think based on your trade of Burrow, and having Rodgers as your kind of main guy this year, and you do have Pickens too, but having Rodgers kind of like maybe this is his last year, maybe he has 2 more years, and being a Texans fan, I think this is the perfect pick because
Yeah.
I think with the trade situation that we've kind of discussed a little bit in this league, I think it would have been hard for you not if you don't get him. Someone was going to try to use that against you, especially in this league. So, sorry guys, but yeah, I think Stroud at 5 was perfect, and he's looked very, very good. We talked about Jalen Hyatt. He went 3.1 right before my pick at 3.2. And I think for me, the fact that he was available at 3.1, I was like, oh my gosh, I might actually get him. And you got him, which I'm very excited for you because I think one of your, you mentioned last year, your weakness or concern was the wide receiver position. And even though you do have Pickens now, kind of gonna maybe be the guy, I think this year he's gonna break out. Having a guy like Hyatt to pair with Pickens, it's gonna be kind of scary. So very excited as far as value and talent because I thought he was gonna go definitely early to mid second round. He did not. Darnell
Bigsby at the 2.7, and then I was able to get Chase Brown with the 3.7. So those are the two picks in between there. But I did give up Dalvin Cook to get those two. Most would say they'd rather have Dalvin if they're competing. I'm kind of still borderline right there. I don't know if I should go for it or if not, but I felt like with the age of Dalvin Cook and to get two younger running backs that are solely backups right now that but have a very good path. I thought for me, I came out actually pretty good there. So I'll let you continue.
Yeah. I appreciate you kind of jumping in because I was like, I knew Bigsby was there, but he wasn't in the list. And I was like, why is Bigsby not there? So I just kind of skipped it. But yeah, Darnell Washington, I think, especially you having Freiermuth and potential, hopefully not, but potential injury, as well as Washington just being a freak of nature. I think he's going to find a way to, they're going to find a way to get him in the game. He's just a mismatch. So I think it's a really, really good pick, especially in the 4.5 was great value. And the last pick you had in this draft, which I'm surprised he fell this far, but at the same time, with injury and the team he's on, Hendon Hooker at 5.2, I thought was a great pick, great value. And honestly, for me, we're talking about this draft kind of reminds me kind of the Lions draft. We kind of talked about how you got a bunch of guys that were in our opinion were, well, I don't want to put words in your mouth. In my opinion, they were valued a lot higher than they were picked. And for example, you're talking about Stroud. I think that's a great pick. Jalen Hyatt could have easily gone like late in the first round into the second round. You got him in the third, so that's killer value. I think for me, Darnell Washington, just based on pure athletic ability and just his size and speed, going in the fourth round. I know he's not the starter, but I think that's a guy that could have gone in the third round just as a kind of a let's see what happens there. And to get him in the middle of the fourth was great value. And Hendon Hooker for me, I think if he's not hurt and he gets drafted, his draft situation changes. I think he could have gone in the later first, if not second round, in the real draft and in this draft. So for me, dude, I got to give you an A plus, especially with getting Bigsby and Chase Brown, which we talked about in other videos. For me, dude, it's an A plus. I think you're in great shape.
Yeah. Hey, man. This draft for me it was just, man, me and you, we were sitting there, and I just could not believe the people that were falling in our draft. I was like, oh my gosh, like, obviously me and you are ready because we have this channel, and that's all we do is we talk about Dynasty, so we know what players we're going to look for, and we know the rankings and stuff like that. So it helps to watch these videos, guys. It really helps you in your Dynasty drafts. It helps you to, be ready and prepared. And I think me and you both were prepared. So I was really excited. I was really, really excited that Stroud fell to me at 5. And then, unexpectedly, we had another league mate hit me up in the middle of the second round who wanted Dalvin Cook. Dalvin still doesn't have a home, so we don't know where he's going to go. So I kind of felt like a 27-year-old running back without a home at this point. Let's see what you got. So he offered me 2 picks, kind of a late to mid-round second and a late to mid-round third. Hey, I went for it. So Tank Bigsby was on the board. I drafted him as a, stash guy. Something happens to ETN. Let's hope in your sake that nothing happens to ETN. I'm pulling for you.
Yeah.
But Tank Bigsby will get touches somewhere in between there. I think he is currently, without a doubt, the backup to ETN. Like, let's just put it out there. He's the backup. Then with my 3-1, I took Jalen Hyatt right in front of you. I'm so sorry about that. I still feel bad.
It's all right, man.
Don't feel bad. But I really desperately needed a wide receiver that could show out and show up for me this year. Hopefully Jalen Hyatt does that. So far, so good in training camp. We'll see. I was super pumped to get him at 3-1 though. And then at 3-7, I don't know how, but Chase Brown was still there. And I was like, okay, Mixon, he's probably got maybe this year. And then I think the way the chatter is with Joe Mixon right now, they might be moving on. So Chase Brown has the talent to take that over, I think. And then Darnell Washington, I drafted him real quick to handcuff Freiermuth, and then got lucky, man. Hendon Hooker was still on the board with a draft full of Tennessee Vols fans. I was surprised, guys. So just solidified my quarterback room a little bit more because I do have Aaron Rodgers as my starter. So I felt, hey, he's on the PUP list. I can put him down in my reserve, right? And I can still fill my roster spot. So that's my plan. I'm going to let him marinate on the PUP list. If something happens to Goff, we all know how potent that Lions offense is going to be. Now, just imagine if something happens to Goff, Hooker steps into that situation. I'm in the same situation as you with drafting Anthony Richardson. I can cash that out, guys. I can cash that out later, especially in a league full of Tennessee Vols fans. So, hey, guys, you got to be smart sometimes. So, who we got next, man? I guess I'm going to give myself – I'm not going to be too cocky. I'm just going to give myself an A. I thought that I got really lucky. I do know kind of what I'm doing in these draft situations. I felt like I was really patient, and I let the trades come to me. I didn't overpay for a trade. But let's just say half skill, half luck. I'll give myself an A because I do like my draft class. But, guys, as always, like and subscribe. Hit us up, man. Let us know how you feel about these teams, how they did. We will be bringing you part 2 is next, so stay tuned and come back, guys. Come hang out with us. We want to show you more of our Dynasty Football draft in Fantasyland. So, guys, as always, Dynasty Football out.